Oh,
Everyone's turning over?
you've got to be warm in that suit in here, surely.
Just natural body temp.
Is that right?
Equilibrium. Let's start with today before we get to the weekend, Sean, because there's lots of speculation that goes around deadline day, not least with Burnley as well. Can you bring us up to date with any potential arrivals or outgoings? Is there going to be some business done?
There's a maybe at the moment on Naki Wells going out. It's only a maybe. It's not confirmed by any stretch. And a maybe on Danny Drinkwater coming in, and that's not confirmed either.
Would both those be potentially loan deals or something more permanent?
Probably, yeah.
And how confident would you be about Danny Drinkwater?
I'll have to wait and see. There's more than just the I's to dot and the T's to cross, so to speak. But it's got a reasonable chance. We're thinking, but everyone needs to agree, to get it done.
What would he bring to this squad? Because obviously he's had a fairly difficult time since moving to Chelsea, hasn't he?
I think it'd be a challenge for him. I think I don't think for 1 second he'd come here thinking that he walks in the team. I'd be naive if he did. We like the players that have done well for us over time. On the other hand, I certainly don't think he lacks belief in himself to forge his way into the side, and that's the hunger and desire that we want, obviously, and that extra competitive edge, to the situation we find ourselves in. And particularly, I think it was more highlighted with Stephen Defoe, his continued, work to get back from injury, which he's doing well with, but it's going to be longer term, I think, or certainly not weeks. So we'll see how that goes for him. And in the meantime, Danny's one who we thought could come in. And like I say, if it gets done, then his challenge is to work hard enough to get in the team.
And I know earlier in the week there was some speculation that James Tarkowski was subject of interest from other Premier League clubs. Was that ever anything you were entertaining?
No, I don't think we're in a position where we have to. I mentioned many times it's a different club now, than sort of even as short as 2-3 years ago. We're not splashing it, as you know. Massive spend of about net spend of about 5 million this window, huge sums. We are in a very healthy position on the other side when people come knocking. We're certainly not a club that needs to open the doors easily now, unless it's right and it's proper to do so. And so we're slowly growing into a more powerful concern as regards the market. Obviously, the stretch to try and get finance is always tricky here. It's always an ongoing challenge, that one, to get them to part with money. But the club's in really strong shape.
Jay Rodriguez was in here about an hour or so ago, and he talked about, whilst you may not have splashed the cash, the quality of the additions that have come into the squad. He thinks you've got a group together that could.
Was he saying that about himself?
Well, he's obviously very high on his own quality.
Good confidence, yeah.
But he was saying as a group, he thinks there's a group now here that can perhaps challenge like you were doing 2 years ago. Is that your feeling?
Well, I think that's a big sort of suggestion from yourself. I think the ongoing challenge of the Premier League is tough. I think the players continue to learn. I think we continue to learn as well, me as a manager and the staff. I think last season was a good show of that, really. A tough first half, a strong second half. And the Premier League is an unforgiving place when things are not going right for you. But I was very pleased with the second half of the season, performance. I hope the players have learned from that. I think the additions help with that competitive edge. And I've always believed we have quality here. It's soon to forget that when we had a tough sort of first half of the season last season, I was forever singing the praise of the players, how proud I was of them, and what they've done and what they continue to achieve. And I think that was shown in the second half of the season. Bringing in players adds to the competitive edge. We think we've brought in quality. Eric's hit the ground running, and so has J-Rod, and two good players. But I feel we've got good players here. Players can go up and down and in and out of form, and maybe that hit us early last season with a lot of different challenges. Now we look to build on a season and reflect on it and use it wisely to move forward. One thing we know for sure is like I said, the Premier League's an unforgiving place. We've got to be on it and at it every time that whistle blows.
You also have brought in Bailey Peacock-Farrell from Leeds, which means you still have 3 goalkeepers. Is it your understanding that come 5 p.m. that will be the case tonight? And if so, how do you square that circling, trying to keep everybody?
Yeah, I think I didn't mention Bailey because I think he's a longer term development situation. I don't mean that in a way that if we need him, he'll play. I've made that clear to him. But I like the way that Billy Mercer worked with Tom over time, more so in a different way with Popey, because we already had Tom in the building, of course, in that kind of slow but sure kind of growth as a goalkeeper. And I think it worked brilliantly with Popey. We see that with Bailey, and I've explained that to him. But at the same time, we know he's played first team football. So we know if and when and chances comes around, then he'd definitely be ready. So I think he's adjusting to the group well. But he was more of a signing that we think can grow into it, whereas the other two you're thinking are ready to go this second. And I think Bailey's bought into that already, and he's got a nice character about him, and he's going very well.
Let's look ahead to the season opener then. Opening weekend of the Premier League season will be the start of VAR being involved in the Premier League. Presumably, if nothing else, it increases your chances of winning an odd penalty or two. Possibly.
Amazing fact, actually, about VAR. We were at a meeting the other day, and they explained that if VAR catches anyone cheating, diving, simulation, whichever nice word you wish to use, they only get a yellow card maximum. I thought that was bizarre. That was a bizarre start to the use of VAR. Well, I can't see that one. But the other side of it, the very positive side of it, I hope, is that it does its best to make as many decisions as accurate as possible. I believe it'll improve over time. Not that it's not good, but we're yet to see. So I believe that with most things, the big noise about goal line technology and how quickly that went away because how quick it is to be used. I'm sure it'll adapt and change over time. But I think having looked at it, we went down to the offices, we saw how it works. The software, I presume, that they use now, that will continue to get better and better and better and better. And I think it can only go one way, and that's improve the chances of fairness and parity across refereeing's decisions and help referees. I think referees do a good job. I may shout at them now and again, but I think they do a good job. I think it's a tough job, but I think it can only help give them an even better chance of being better at their jobs. And linesmen, of course. Lineswomen. Linespeople. Linespeople.
Is there going to be a vague area? Because I've been down to Stockley Park and done the same session, and what they made quite clear is that potentially on a 3 o'clock kickoff, 2 games can be going on the same time, same day, similar incidents can occur, and it might result in 2 different outcomes because the emphasis is placed on the official on the field.
But you're going to, if you search for problems in anything, you're going to find them. So I think the ongoing search of VR has been for problems. I've been trying to look at the positive side of it myself because I think it'll be good for the game. But you can search for as many reasons why it wouldn't work, and you're going to find some. And I think, to be fair, I don't think anyone's saying that VR is going to make it absolutely 100% clean and pure to all that see it. It's not. There'll still be that healthy debate on certain decisions and ones that are still almost impossible to decide under the cameras. They showed us a couple of examples, actually, which was really good, to see. And even we were saying, well, you could look at that either way, of course. But generally, the idea is to heighten the chances that you get the right decisions, and I think that'll be a good thing.
What about Southampton to kick it off then? Because those first 4 games are fairly tough, aren't they, when you start with Southampton?
I think, having been through the Premier League for a long time now, I think there's no easy games. You can, on paper, of course, there's easier and there's tougher games. Of course, we all know that. But when the whistle blows, they're all tough games. We know from our experiences in it, you can't take anything for granted. Stats and facts suggest it's very difficult playing the top sides, particularly at their home, they're away from home, But other than that, they're all tough games. So I think we've learnt that, and I think we've really spoke to the players on building on last season to this season. So rather than big projections about anything, it's just what have we learned, what can we move forward, what can we continue to improve ourselves in order to get the right outcomes. And we've really based our focus on that. But there's no naivety here. We know how tough the Premier League is. And
just finally, do you go into this opening game with a fully fit squad?
More or less, I think Robbie Brady had a knock on his ribs. We've now found out it was a very tiny sort of hairline fracture of his rib rather than the intercostal muscles, so that's why it's been so sore. And he's unlikely to figure. Everything else, Tark is good, Kevin Long's good, so everyone else is just about there, so we're pleased with that. Thank you.
Hello, Sean, just one from me. It's ifs and maybes with Drinkwater, but he's not had a lot of football, and you say he's full of self-belief. Did you face a little bit of a job of work just to get him back up to speed?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's very rare that players in general come up and running. Obviously, some situations we've got done earlier, which has been great this pre-season. You know, it's been helpful. This one's different. You know, we'll see what shape he's in. Should it happen? Of course, we're waiting on that. But if it does, we'll see what shape he is. I would imagine he's hungry. I would imagine he's got a desire to be active and play. Obviously, but it's yet to be seen. There's no, you know, we all know there's no guarantees with any signing you make. You can only hedge your bets in the right way, and I think after a quiet couple of years, I can only imagine he's hungry and he's got a desire to prove himself. First of all, to himself. You know, he's a good player. We all know that. But to prove to himself what he's about, and then obviously that knocks onto the team, and that's the idea. But first things first, we've got to get it done, and then second thing, he's got to be fit enough and ready enough and full of that desire to go and oust the people who are here. So that'll be his challenge. Should we get the situation over the line? I've never done 1, 2, 3, 4s and all that. I just do the players that are playing well in any position. Just from time, it suggests some players will play. You know, there's certain players here who have played a lot of football here, delivered very well. But I certainly don't put people in a pecking order. I think we've got 3 good keepers. I think they're all active. They all certainly look active. Joe's been very active during pre-season, delivered a very strong pre-season, so he's obviously showing signs. He's ready. Pope equally, and Bailey's come in to support that. Yeah, doing brilliant for us. You know, I'd run out of good things to say about him, both on and off the pitch. Great servant, my first ever signing here, and certainly, you know, many years to come will be thought very highly here, and in the future as well, should he ever come back to these parts.
Sean, obviously, you haven't had the Europa League sort of impact on pre-season this time around. Just how important is it to try and get off to a good start in the Premier League and give yourself that little platform to build?
I think it's helpful, but I don't think you can overthink it. Last year wasn't a good start, you know, but we made the best of it over a season because it is a season's work. But it is helpful, of course, because, you know, a few years ago a lot was made of not winning games for us, and then we had a great start down at Chelsea, and it all changes the story. Every story goes away immediately, more or less. So I think you want to get off to a good start. I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but I think it's preferred.
And just on the recruitment side of things, obviously Mike Rigg came in, I think, sort of back end of last year, November-ish time. You've been working together with him for a good few months now. Is that relationship getting stronger and stronger, do you think? Yeah,
I think it's a mixed relationship between myself, himself, the CEO, the club. You know, I did say when he came in, I don't think it'll be 6 months, a year. I think it'll be 18 months plus, you know, by the time we start to build that backlog of information on players, particularly European players. It's always interested in trying to get money. So that is a challenge as well. There's been a number of situations we've been aligned with that we just, you know, haven't been given the resources to get over the line. And that's just the way it goes. I'm used to it. It's not new to me. But sometimes, you know, you forget that buying players, it helps, but it doesn't win games. You know, a team win a game. And I think we've done that well here. And I think I don't overthink it, and I don't think the players do. So is it helpful, of course, to have good recruitment and the resources to back that recruitment? Of course it is. Is it always there for us? No, it's not. But we carry on working accordingly.
I guess that's the balance, isn't it? He might suggest a player to you and you might think, I'm not sure if he's going to fit in with the way
we usually how it works, he suggests it to me and then I say, suggest that to the chairman of the board, all the best. That's usually how it works.
But it's that, I guess it's the beginnings of that relationship and knowing each other's sort of alignment, really, in terms of strategy.
No, I think he's online with that. I think he's been he's in every day around the group, apart from when he's obviously further afield, but he's in generally, I should say. You know, he knows what the group, he knows the demand, he knows the culture, he knows the working environment. So I think he'd certainly have a feel on how the players would fit into the club and the system and all that sort of stuff. You can align every situation you want. It still takes resources, and that's still something that, you know, we're trying to stretch the club. It is difficult.
And just lastly for me on J-Rod, just how important is it to have someone who sort of comes in and really knows the club and gets that feel? A little bit like Tom did, I suppose, in terms of...
I think it's probably slightly different because you've got to remember when he left the club, it was a completely different club then. Still a good club, but, you know, when you look at what's here now with the training ground, the facilities, I mean, he'd never been here, so he was like properly shocked with that, I can assure you. The changes that were made at the ground, although it's an historic ground, but, you know, the internal changes with the changing rooms and stuff like that, I think it's a different kind of club than what he left. I think he's enjoying it. He's certainly, you know, I spoke with him just the other day, said everything all right, you're settling well, and not settling off the pitch. He's familiar with that, obviously, with the group, and he was absolutely fine. He was really looking forward to the challenge, and we're pleased that he's here.
I guess more for the supporters as well to see, you know, a hometown boy pulling on the shirt at Burnley.
Yeah, I think that's always a good thing. I think it's dying out now. I don't think clubs care for that. I think they do here. But across the Premier League, I think that's changed. You know, the desire for local boys, I think that's diminished somewhat, just because of the way the nature of football, the worldwide nature of certainly of Premier League football. But I think in these parts, it's still well recognised and well received, and rightly so. I think there's still a big place for it. You know, ourselves with him being a forerunner from years ago, but then Dwight in a different way, not totally local, but local-ish. You know, he's picked up the reins and bringing up a new look to the sort of system, if you like. So that's good as well. But yeah, certainly two big figures there. One at the other end of it, been through this club, and then one starting with Dwight, and so an interesting mix with them too.
Thank you.
Cameras off.
Thank you.